Hey y'all, Kayla here from Wild Camo, and welcome to video 1 of my 8-part public land whitetail hunting series. In this video, we are going over public land whitetail scouting and how to find the hidden 10% of land that other hunters might miss. It's great to have you here. You know, we're about to tackle the single biggest challenge in public land hunting. You pull up to a property that's thousands of acres of timber and swamps, and it's overwhelming. So we're gonna break it all down. So here's the deal. I'm gonna give you a simple, repeatable system to find those overlooked hotspots where the big bucks feel safe. We'll cover how to knock out the vast majority of unproductive ground before you even put your boots on, what fresh, huntable sign really looks like, and how to turn all that intel into a solid plan of attack. And hey, if you like this type of content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel because I post new videos almost every day. Also, if you hunt public land, you need to check out my in-depth book and audiobook, The Public Land Whitetail, The Complete Field Guide. This right here just scratches the surface, and I dive into extreme detail in my book. Alright, now let's get into it. Let's state the mission clearly. On these massive public properties, our goal isn't just to find deer. It's to find a deer living in places that the vast majority of hunters will never even bother to look. And the answer begins long before you ever step foot in the woods. Let's dive into this. Step 1 is what I call the 30-minute map pass. This is all about scouting from your couch, using those digital mapping tools to do all the heavy lifting for you before you burn a drop of gas or an ounce of boot leather. And here's a super important mindset shift. The real power of e-scouting isn't just about finding those magical honey holes. It's about efficiently and ruthlessly eliminating the 90% of the property that's not worth your time. We're filtering out the dead zones so we can focus our boots on the ground efforts where they'll actually count. So, what are we looking for? Well, on your mapping app, like on onX, you're going to start dropping pins on a few key features. First, edges. Deer are creatures of the edge, so anywhere different habitats collide is a potential hotspot. Next, funnels. These are terrain features like saddles or creek beds that naturally squeeze deer movement into a predictable path. Mark every single water source you can find. Then, look for those overlooked spots. Places that are tough to get to or seem too close to a road. And finally, identify what I call anchor points. These are the dominant landscape features like one specific ridge or a single food plot that will dictate deer travel in the area. This is how we can start to predict what other hunters are going to do before we even see another truck. You know, research shows most hunters on public land stay within about a third of a mile from a road or main trail, so we can literally map out the pressure. The high pressure zones are obvious, but the low pressure sanctuaries? Well, they're a half-mile deep, across a creek, or in that thick, nasty cover nobody wants to walk through. And that's where mature deer live. Okay, so you've done your homework and you have a map full of promising pins. Now for step 2, verifying it all in the woods. Because what a map promises and what's actually there can be two very different things, y'all. And this right here is exactly why boots on the ground scouting is non-negotiable. That perfect funnel you found on the map, you might get there and find it's littered with old stands. That thick bedding cover from the satellite image, it could be a wide open park-like forest floor. That hidden pond might just be a mud hole. This is why we ground truth our digital hunches. We have to confirm they're based in reality. Once you're in the woods, not all deer sign is created equal. You have to know how to prioritize it. The absolute best sign you can find is fresh tracks and droppings. That tells you deer are using that area right now. A step below that are fresh rubs and scrapes, which mean deer were here recently. Last is old sign. Faded rubs from last year are interesting, but they don't tell you where to hunt tomorrow. We're hunting where the deer are, not where they were. I absolutely love this quote from veteran hunter Tony J. Peterson because it just perfectly captures the mindset you need. When you find the right spot, you'll know it. The sign will be undeniable. If you're walking around trying to convince yourself that a spot is good enough, it probably isn't. If you're not thinking, hot damn, this is it, you gotta keep moving until you find the spot that makes you feel that way. So you found one of those hot damn spots. Now for the final step, turning all that information into a concrete, hunt-ready plan of attack. This is where scouting becomes hunting. And the crucial point here is your scouting isn't done until you have a full ambush plan. This means identifying at least 3 potential trees for your stand, not just one. You need options. Physically walk your entry and exit routes. Can you actually get in and out of there without spooking every deer in the county? Plant setups for different wind directions, and always look for backup locations, maybe for a ground blind in case your primary trees don't work out. Now, once you have your plan, you need a rule for hunting these spots on pressured public land, a rule to keep you sharp and mobile. So I want you to keep one number in your mind: 3. This is the 3-sit rule. It's a mental framework to keep you from getting stuck on a spot that isn't producing. The rule is simple. If you give a great, well-scouted spot 3 honest, dedicated sits, and you see nothing, no deer, no new sign, it's time to move on to one of your backup locations. Patterns on public land can be inconsistent. The deer might not be there right now, so don't burn yourself out on the dead spot. Be ready to adapt. All right, let's wrap this up with a quick reality check, because when it comes to hunting public land, your mindset is just as important, if not more important, than your strategy. Let's run through some common mistakes real quick. Don't hunt those obvious spots right by the parking lot. Don't rely only on old sign. Never, ever ignore your access routes. Don't put all your eggs in one basket with only one spot scouted. Don't get bummed out when you see other hunters. It's part of the game. Don't give up after one slow sit. And remember, sometimes the best spots are overlooked areas just a few hundred yards from the road, not 5 miles deep. At the end of the day, attitude is everything. This kind of hunting is tough. You have to accept that failure is a huge part of the process. In fact, most of your hunts won't end with a punch tag, but that's okay. The real reward is in the challenge itself and the satisfaction of figuring out the puzzle. Just a quick reminder, if you found this system helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. And for a much deeper dive into all these topics, you can check out my book, The Public Land Whitetail, The Complete Field Guide. This explainer really does just scratch the surface of what's in there. So there's the system. You now have the tools to find that hidden 10% of the land that holds deer. The final question is, are you willing to put in the work and maintain the discipline it takes to hunt it effectively? I hope this helps you all out this season. We'll see you in the next one.